Hello, this is Daniel from Samdan's Couch. Today I'm looking at the DualSense Edge controller for the PlayStation 5. Just like Microsoft released the Elite and the Elite 2 controllers for Xbox owners in the past, Sony finally decided to give PlayStation owners a Pro edition of the controller as well. It certainly shows that Sony lent some things from the Microsoft Elite controller, but more about that later. This is how the controller was delivered to me. I pre-ordered it straight from the Sony online store and it arrived with free shipping on release date on my doorstep. The controller comes inside a nice white shell case, which you can open with these zippers. The backside of the case can be opened to run a USB cord into the case. Along a paper manual, you can actually access a digital manual by scanning in the QR code that is printed inside the controller case. Among the extra buttons, you can also set how far you want to be able to push the triggers in, also called the travel. That is very handy if, for example, you want to shorten the response time for shooting your gun in first-person shooters. The less travel you have for the triggers, the faster you can shoot. While in racing games, you want the whole travel of the triggers, to be able to carefully apply brake or how much you want to speed up. Putting in the back pedal levers is a little tricky, but once they are connected, they stay in nicely. Something I sometimes had issues with when using the Xbox Elite 2 controller, where the levers can be pushed out too easily at times. Next to the pedals, Sony supplied so-called half-dome back buttons. They look odd at first, but they actually feel quite comfortable and give you a quick response in games. Inside the case you'll find two pairs of back buttons, two extra pairs of dome caps, short and long ones, a nice and long braided USB-C charging cord, and a USB cord housing that you will need when you charge your controller inside the case. Thanks to Sony sticking to the design of the regular DualSense controller, the Edge does feel very nice in your hands. A little heavier compared to the standard model. This is the standard DualSense, compared to the DualSense Edge. Sony kept the major design, but refined it in some areas. Let's compare the weight. A standard PS5 DualSense controller weighs 281 grams. The new DualSense Edge weighs 332 grams. While the Xbox Elite 2 controller is the heaviest with 342 grams. You can definitely feel that the Edge is heavier, but definitely not as heavy as the Elite 2, which is too heavy for some people. The Xbox Elite 2 case comes with a charging puck, which you can use to charge your controller inside the case. Or have the puck outside the case and rest the controller on top of it. The DualSense Edge has a piece that holds your USB-C cord in place when you want to charge the controller inside the case. Clip the cable inside the box and you're ready to go. But if you already have the official PS5 controller charging dock, the Edge controller charges on it perfectly as well. I personally wanted the Edge controller because I love back buttons. Late in the lifespan of the PS4, Sony released this back button attachment. It even featured an OLED display. Ever since I've been missing the back buttons when playing on my PlayStation 5. Especially in first-person shooter games or racing games, I really enjoy the option to have back buttons. Now for the first setup, keep in mind that you cannot hook up your controller to a hub or to the PS5 directly and just boot up the console like that. The PS5 won't boot. Instead, turn on the PS5 with an older controller or on the PS5 itself. Then hook up the controller with the USB cord directly to the console to pair it. Once the controller is paired, you are fine to use the USB cord anywhere. A USB-powered hub is charging it fine as well. Surprisingly enough, the controller didn't need a firmware update. Your PS5 though needs to have the latest firmware update to be able to recognize the Edge controller. This is a nice little intro guide for the Edge controller. And here are the many settings you can choose when customizing your controller to your needs. You can quickly set up different profiles for the Edge controller buttons. You can save 3 profiles and have a standard profile on top of it. You can switch the profiles instantly with the FN and main buttons, which is very convenient. If you need to edit your profile, you can even do that without having to quit a running game first. It can stay in the background and you can get right back into the action after changing your setup. This is Call of Duty Vanguard. My preferred setup is having the run button on the left back button and on the right back button the jump action. The round half dome back buttons feel very responsive in my setup. And for the trigger buttons, I chose the shortest travel. And here I am playing Gran Turismo 7. By the way, don't try to demo your Edge controller with a Tesla, like I did here, because it has no gear shift. So for Gran Turismo 7, I chose the longest travel for the triggers to be able to precisely control the application of brake and speed. And for the back left button, gear shift down, and the right back button, gear shift up. For this, I also used the pedal level attachment. Sony engineered the Edge controller the way that you can actually remove and replace both of the analog sticks. It is not that easy to press the eject button to remove the front panel to get to the sticks. I'm actually using a toothpick here. But once you have the cover off, you just lift up a metal lever and you can slide out the analog stick unit and replace them with a new one. A great feature, but it would have been better if Sony gave us Hall effect sticks that are not prone to stick drift in the first place. But companies want to keep making money, so it makes more sense for Sony to sell you replacement parts that don't last as long. Now what about the stick caps? Sony gives you a normal concave pair that you find on your regular DualSense, then a second pair with high dome shaped caps, and a third pair of low ones. Taking them off makes me a little uncomfortable, since you need to yank the stick cap right off and everything is plastic here, including the stud the cap sits on. Microsoft did it better here, where it's all metal and also magnetic, holding the cap in place. But it works, and I won't be changing out the caps much, so it won't matter much to me personally. To come to the end of my review. First the bad. The controller is quite expensive, even more so than the Microsoft Elite 2. At around $200, this is a premium price, and I hope it will last long. While it's nice that you can replace the analog sticks, they are still made of the technology that is prone to stick drift, instead of being Hall effect kind. The stick caps, as mentioned, are plastic on plastic, and I can only hope that they will last a long time for people who switch the caps a lot. I somehow doubt it though. Battery time is a little shorter, though I didn't notice much difference myself. I would have loved a more powerful battery though to make the Edge last even longer than the standard model. The good. The Edge controller feels nice in your hands and the extra pedals are good positioned and feel very sturdy. The pebble shape of the pedal is a very nice, interesting addition and I really like it. Also, the pedals stay in the controller and don't fall out as easily as they do with the Elite 2 controller. At 2.8 meters long, the USB-C cable is actually long enough to reach from my PS5 to my couch. The charging case is well done. You can change the dead zones inside the settings if you need that option. The quick change FN buttons are wonderful and makes it easy to change profiles, not only showing the change in the LEDs, but also on screen. To have the option to replace the analog sticks is great. Maybe a third-party manufacturer will make Hall effect replacements. Then we really have a perfect PS5 controller here. I am happy with my purchase, and it will become my main controller when playing PS5 games. I just really like the option of having back pedals, fast profile switching, and the same look and feel of the original DualSense. It's up to you if you are willing to spend more money for these features, but when you do, you'll enjoy having them. What about you? Let me know in the comments if you are planning to buy the DualSense Edge controller, or if there are other features you wish Sony had added. Thank you for watching, and if you would like to see more of my videos, cool tech reviews and games, please consider liking and subscribing to this channel. It really helps me to make more content for you in the future. Until then, I will see you next time on SamDan's Couch.